On the show, we tackle the subject of veterans issues with a nonprofit group whose efforts are to locate and provide services to Guam's veterans, our friends from Westcarr Pacific Islands, on today's Something to Talk About. And welcome to Something to Talk About. Of course, we're here at King's in Tamuning. And we've got the regular fare, and we've got a great lineup of guests talking about veterans issues. It's one of those issues on Guam that's got a constant cycle in the news because there are so many different parts about veterans issues that are controversial, and it leads a lot of support. Today, like I said, we'll be speaking with Westcarr Pacific Islands Vice President Sarah Thomas Nedadog joins us here, and she's brought along a couple of advocates who support veterans for Westcarr Pacific. We have Danny Duenas and John Blas. Gentlemen, thank you for coming. And thank you for your help and the work that you do. Can you explain just the relationship with Westcarr and veterans issues?
Okay, absolutely. Westcarr Pacific Islands is a nonprofit organization. We were founded here on Guam in 2009, but we're connected to a national nonprofit that's in 17 states, Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands. And so in Westcarr Pacific Islands, our main office is based on Guam, but we do work all over the Micronesian region. Okay. So we're broad-based. We provide an array of human service programs, social service programs. Our big thing really is to build capacity in the various island communities. So wherever there's a gap or a need in service, we provide technical assistance, consultation, or we'll actually write grants or implement programs that they need for young people, for veterans, for persons with behavioral health issues. We also manage an AIDS service organization called the Guahan Project. Mm-hmm. So we really are in the business of providing help in any way we can that meets a need in the community. So we're not about trying to compete with other existing organizations, but to fill needs that are not met yet. So in our program with veterans, we had an opportunity to write off for a federal grant with the Veterans Administration to specifically look at veterans who are homeless or who are at risk of homelessness. And so we were successful. It's the first time that anyone in our region has gotten this project to work with this special population of veterans. Unfortunately, we have found quite a number of veterans who are what we call are literally homeless. They're living out on the beaches, they're living out in the parks or in substandard living environments, like cars or makeshift homes that really don't have power, running water, or even sometimes flooring or beddings. So we have been in existence now about a year and a half. This particular project, which is called Supported Services for Veteran Families, where Dan is the lead veteran advocate and John is the key outreach person and also assists with case management. And in the year and a half, we've probably found, I would say, over 60 altogether who are actually literally homeless, and 100 and some who are at the risk of homelessness. That means without our help, they would be out on the streets because they're being evicted. And most of these problems, it's not all about just they're not good at financial management. Oftentimes these veteran families find that they're not able to continue work, or maybe not full-time because they have a disability, or their spouse or their partner, whoever is helping them, to make ends meet, becomes sick or passes away or what have you, there's some traumatic change. There's some change that has happened in that family that has caused them to have some major economic difficulties. So those are the families that we work with. And as I said earlier, since we started and opened applications for this group December 2014, we've probably been able to help uh, close to 200 altogether. Yeah,
Did you guys go out on that this point in time count? That's how
absolutely.
you identified where they are and who they are. Is
That's one
one
way
way?
in which we do that, and I'll have John speak to that because he's our representative in the Homeless Coalition,
Yeah.
and we also sponsor the Passport for Services project, which
Okay.
is a big part of
Yeah.
that last year, and Westcarr has been a team leader and a great supporter of the point in time, which was just done last January, a few months ago.
Tell
John,
me
can you
how
speak to
how
that?
you went out to seek them out, or how do you seek them out?
Yeah, actually, because of our partnership with the Guam Homeless Coalition, Westcarr Pacific Islands, specifically our veterans program, felt that we need to support that and actually participate in the count. Only because if the teams come across a veteran who fits that category of homeless or at risk, we're actually out in the field already, where we can actually respond and interview that veteran and see how our program might be able to assist. And so, again, every year, at least since our SSVA program started, we've been participating. We actually, this is our second year that we participated in the point in time count. And also that the final results of that count is important to us because, again, with our veteran program, we file reports and with our VA office and also with our foundation as to what that number is. And Ms. Sarah might go into it later on, but in this process to declare ending veterans homelessness, the key number is actually what is identified in the point in time count.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to ask you that. Manny, maybe you can answer this. Is it that they become homeless? I know you left. I mean, gave me some scenarios in which they can become homeless, but are they necessarily not aware that there are services that might catch them at the brink of being homeless? That they're not aware that these benefits are available to them, for example.
Yeah, I believe there's a possibility that some of the mindset of the veterans is that they're not aware, and this is why we're reaching out, doing outreach. But the other part also is a systematic where the veteran had encountered, and whatever issues that occur, there's a distrust to people reaching out and not being consistent. So
So they feel
being
like they've been burned at some point, so
yes.
they're not like, oh, wow.
So what we're doing is hopefully to reach out and say we talk the talk and Westcarr. We're out to help you and identify if you choose to accept, and if not, we still come back and check the person, the individual veteran, and asking if they still want the help.
But are there situations where the person who is mentally disabled? Do you find a lot of there being mental health issues?
I'm so glad that you brought that up, Patty, because with our literally homeless population, oftentimes they are in that situation because they are disengaged, they are estranged from their families and from their communities because they are experiencing traumatic brain injury. They are experiencing
PTSD and that
severe
sort of, yeah.
behavioral health issues and substance abuse issues. More often than not, they're experiencing something like that that really is so intense and so severe that it's very difficult for their families, their employers, their community to understand what's going on with them, and they themselves to know what's going on with them. So it's really, the concept here is housing first, get them off the streets, put them in a safe, clean, healthy environment, and then let's take a look at what services we need to connect them with.
Are they reluctant if they go? Do you find that some of them want to be out there because that's what they know?
Some are, and some are not, or some are initially, but they're not at that point of readiness to truly engage in their treatment. So they exit our program, and then when they're ready to work their program and go into recovery or treatment so that they can have permanent housing stability or permanent employment opportunities, until they get to that point, it's very difficult for them to stay in our program. But even if they exit, we go back to them
And try to
constantly
keep- and try to-
and let them know we're here.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing, though. Is it? I mean, is it more difficult to deal with a mental health need than it is to deal with just a physical need to be placed somewhere or to get some sort of service?
Absolutely, it
It's
surely
more of a
is.
challenge then.
It surely is.
So you are about to have a conference that we want to talk about. We'll take a break here, eat some of this Denali cut because they just brought the denancy, and then we'll try to put our thoughts together about a conference where you will serve the needs of veterans everywhere. So we'll talk about that, and when we come back from this break, we're here with Westcarr Pacific Islands. Come on. Welcome back. We are talking about veterans' health and other issues on Guam with Westcarr Pacific Islands, with Sarah Thomas Netadog, John Bloss, and with Manny Duenas. Janny Duenas, sorry. I had a Manny on the radio with me, so I'm used to saying that. We always talk about the issues, obviously, with the health care of veterans. Why is that such a moving target? I mean, from the highest levels of the government, in federal and locally, it's like it's difficult to pin down, a way for these services to flow easily. I guess more conveniently. I guess Guam being aware where we are plays a little bit of a role, but having you on the ground like this to help direct these services, is it a moving target kind of problem to provide the care when needed?
I think people tend to believe that veterans have all these different healthcare options, and that they're well taken care of. And the truth of the matter is, it really depends on a lot of it what your status is. We have a overrepresentation of military folks on island. I'm sure you know that. I mean, we have so many people joining the military and being in the military more than the average community. And some of these individuals, both male and female, they stay in for just a year or two, 3, 5 years. They don't always stay for the whole time until they retire. So there's different services and levels of support depending on how long you're actually in the military.
Well, isn't it interesting also that if you're in the military for that certain amount of time, that you've also the chances of you having been deployed is very great, especially now more than ever before.
And with our local military personnel, we have a significant number of soldiers who have been deployed. So it's very, very big on Guam, and it's not just once or twice, sometimes multiple. And there's no way that you can go into a situation like in a war or in a place where there's a lot of safety issues and not be changed and not be affected by that. So consequently, on Guam, we have quite a number of young people who are maybe in their 30s, who've been maybe in the military for 5 years,
That have been
and they have 2 or 3 children, perhaps, and have been deployed 2 or 3 or more times, and they are experiencing significant adjustment issues returning to our community.
That's a huge part of it, because I think that when you look at veterans, a lot of us think of our fathers or our grandfathers who have had some kind of wartime experience, either the Korean War or the Vietnam conflict, right? But we have soldiers that are so young as veterans, and some of the same benefits that applied to them, when they were the older generation, don't apply.
And you know, there's different levels of services and support for the different eras. We have World War II, we have, well, those are very few. We have Korean War veterans,
Yes.
and most of them are in their 80s.
I think they have
and
a
very
handful on
active.
Guam left,
Yes,
right?
we
Yeah.
do. And we also have a number of Vietnam vets. Unfortunately, many of our Vietnam vets have passed on, or they continue to experience physical and emotional issues, right? And it's just now, and Danny can speak to this because he's a Vietnam vet. He's got his master's in social work, and he's a certified substance abuse counselor and a clinician. And he has seen in his own experiences with his family and friends and with many other veterans that our Vietnam vets are still suffering, and many of them silently. They have not come out and been able to deal with a lot of the issues that they were exposed to 30, 40, or more like 40 years ago.
Yeah, so that's a good question, Danny. Are you seeing a difference in the type of veteran that needs the services between maybe the Vietnam War and in this conflict today?
It is, you know, with the veterans, I think the learning stage of what's going now with the veteran is because of the Vietnam veterans' lack of services. There's more services now. So I believe the soldier that's leaving to be deployed, they go on training, they have debriefing, and when they come back, they go through the same process. With our coming home as a Vietnam vet, I just came home as a tour duty. And
You were also met with a lot of contention when you came back. The Vietnam War wasn't a period that everybody was supporting the troops, so that's
And there wasn't a lot of support and services
yeah.
for them.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
when you came back, you didn't get the welcome home from America, so
Yeah.
compounds the need.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also the community attitude back then, like my mom, for example, would say, just, Alpha, when are you going to work? And it's just about getting back in the motion with understanding that there's some issues I have to go through to
Transition.
make adjustments. So every veteran that we're seeing now, and this is the same issue, even if it's the debriefing, this is they're coming out with their trauma, their experience, and a lot of it is connecting with the health services, the need, and it's not immediate as anticipated. So we have a counselor at our services at Westcarr. So getting them in, get evaluated, and then we refer them if there's a further need. So the adjustment that a veteran is coming back is just different issues. The combat zone is pretty much the same. Is coming back to home, and this is sometimes where the issue is the lack of support. This is why we're reaching out and hoping that we get the veterans before they get too far off and coming back.
Yeah.
And we found out that we can't really fully grasp and make a dent in our homeless veterans problem, which we see it increasing until we have really good services for traumatic brain injury, for substance abuse, for behavioral health, and that we work with our families, our employers, our landlords, our general community to help us reach out and identify those veterans who are isolated, who are really having some adaptation issues, because sometimes they don't realize that they haven't talked to somebody for a week, or they haven't noticed that it's been months and they haven't engaged with their family, or they haven't gone back to work, or they haven't, whatever it is, they're not normal, they're not returning to their normal routine. So we've got to learn as a community, what is it that we can do to identify these veterans, get them into services, and we also need to improve our services, because our behavioral health services and our substance abuse services on Guam are so limited. And we've got to expand on that and have a specialization in working with veterans who have this trauma. Because until we do that, Patty, wrestling with this veterans homelessness issue is going to continue to be a challenge for us here on Guam.
You had conferences the past several years. How are those needs addressed during
Well,
these
this is
conferences?
our third year at this, and we are bringing together all the different veteran organizations. There's about 31 on Guam, and encouraging all the families and veterans to come to a place where they can actually talk about positive things related to their health. And so it's not so much a forum where they're going to debate on benefits or services, but they're going to learn and get exposed to and share strategies to keep themselves physically, emotionally, and spiritually healthy. And that's what we want.
Now, in your experience, John, when you go up and you talk to the veterans, and are they likely to go to a conference like that? Or are they likely to go to a central place where there are people? What's the character of the...
Actually, it's pretty much a combination of both. We have those veterans that are very interested in getting information on healthcare. I believe we might get participation from the CBOC, who will be able to provide information on the choice card.
Okay.
So it really depends. But when we do our outreach, we try and contact as much as we can by phone, or if we need to go to, we seek them out. And then, of course, like Ms. Sarah mentioned, we work closely with our partners in getting the word out of this conference that's coming up, and to have them register.
But it's still really a part of a segment of the community that can't be found. Don't you think that it's still a little bit underground? That they're not all of the veterans on Guam are registered or have been identified?
Well, in the nation, there's like 28 million veterans,
Yeah.
and there's only, I don't know, 20-some% that participate in veteran programs. So it's a similar situation here in Guam, and our job is to find those that are the most at need, most vulnerable, and most at risk of having these issues, adaptation issues, and bringing them in. So we work with the mayors, we work with these veteran organizations, we work with the various veteran offices like the Guam Veterans Affairs Office and the Benefits Office, all these other entities that might have access to those veterans who might be isolated. So getting the word out and talking to you, being on your show,
that's
that
a good
helps
plan.
too. It's all good.
That's
so.
a good plan. Gentlemen, thank you very much, not only for coming here today, but for dedicating so much of your careers and your time to the effort. I appreciate that. Sarah, thank you very much, ma'am, for coming
Yeah.
and bringing your guys.
We always enjoy talking to you,
I
Patty.
love it when they come. That's
Thank you.
something to talk about, this version of it. Have a wonderful evening. We'll see you next time.